have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. You say you wanna cry, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose. I don't know what you want. Let's have a bit of fun till I downfall. My love, if you feel like I do right now, don't say you're on the run to the other side, my love. You say you wanna try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason why we lose.
The Joe.
Context, because I'm pretty sure.
I just saw it and I was like, oh, dope. Getting it.
Yeah, I mean, that's a combination of that girl who's on Dr. Phil's show and UFOs.
Sort of, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Believe that.
Yeah.
Because, like, Believe is so X-Files the year 1999, whatever it was. Like, when was the X-Files on?
It's on now.
But when, but when was the original one?
Yeah,
like, when did it start?
90s, late 90s, mid 90s. Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah, Believe is that. That's that poster, and I always just, you can't disconnect them from the poster in Mulder's office. But Believe that, that's today. You nailed it.
Even
whoever made that shirt.
I want to believe.
It's a cool shirt.
Is it I want to believe? Is that what it said on the poster?
The X-Files,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, Believe that's better. But I do want to believe. Oh, of all the things, of all the stupid things, I would love to believe that someone like got real footage of UFOs, like more than almost any other weird, like Bigfoot type, Loch Ness monster, all the really nutty shit. If they could find out one of those was true, fucking aliens, number one, right? For sure. Yeah. Even if you just knew for sure that you saw a real ship.
Or if the aliens looked like Bigfoot. Then you kill two birds with one stone.
That was an actual theory.
Ah.
There's some of these Bigfoot people are so... There's spectrums of Bigfoot people, man. There's Bigfoot people. There's people that are like real primatologists, like Jane Goodall. Jane Goodall believes in Bigfoot, believe it or not. It's really fascinating. There's a whole interview with her where she says she's sure of it. She said she's sure that there's another species.
How can she be sure?
Well, let's play the clip. See if we can find that clip.
Who's Jane Goodall again?
She is a world-famous primatologist who did some groundbreaking work with chimpanzees. She essentially lived with chimpanzees. She's so powerful. I mean, this lady is amazing. If you watch her documentaries. So when someone like her says something like that, I'm like, okay, well, I should shut the fuck up and stay in my lane when I'm going to argue with Jane Goodall about primates. And it used to be a real thing. There used to really be a Gigantopithecus, an 8-foot-tall orangutan-like thing that probably walked on two legs. And so she believes it's real.
She thinks it did exist, or she thinks
it exists right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't think it was taken out of context, because I'm pretty sure it was someone asked her a question, and then she gave a long and detailed answer. Based on like what we know about certain chimpanzee subspecies that are really, really hard to find. Like we're just finding out, I think they figured it out from like the 1990s. There's a giant version of chimpanzees that lives in the Congo. They're calling them bondo apes, or there's a couple different names for them. They call them, but they sleep on the ground like gorillas. They're giant chimps.
I love that stuff, man. I just watched Planet Earth 2 the other day, just mesmerized, just physically saying like, wow, wow.
I don't think a normal person understands what you're talking about when you say a 6-foot-tall chimp.
Yeah.
I just don't think they know what you're talking about. You're talking about like a super gorilla. It's like not, it's way scarier than a gorilla because they're chimps. Chimps are scarier. Chimps are predators.
Yeah.
Chimps eat monkeys, man. I mean, people want to associate chimps with bananas and nuts and stuff like that. And they eat that stuff too, but they also eat monkeys.
Scary,
dude. They're ruthless motherfuckers. What is this, buddy?
It's from a NPR conversation.
Yeah, see if you can find the actual recording, because it's fascinating when you hear the tone of her voice. Okay. She says something like, "I'm sure of it."
Wow.
She has this super powerful voice. This lady is a fucking biologist badass. She's living with chimps, man. Just hanging out with them constantly. Do you know what kind of
due to the graphic nature of violence. At Nagogo,
This is predatory prey children time to escape. Oh, a female time himself. After all, these little guys can make huge leaps, even as high as 50 feet into the air. Then, a wrong move. A colobus leaps into the arms of death. And the victors whoop it up good. The young hunter displays his kill, only to have the dominant chimp confiscate his prize. I guess these chimps are like the National Football League. No showboating here, especially when the tribe is hungry.
Human being you have to be able to keep your shit together in a tribe of wild chimps where they accept you? They don't just smash your fucking head in for a goof?
That is crazy.
Dude, come on, man. Well, this is the transcription, but I'm pretty sure
it says soundbite here, but there's no link or anything.
Oh, I know it exists, dude. Try to find it on YouTube, maybe.
All right.
She had.
But what did she say there?
Oh, wait, here, it just says, well, now you'll be amazed when I tell you that I'm sure that they exist.
Yeah, that's what it was. That's how she said it. Well, now you will be amazed when I tell you that I'm sure that they exist. That's basically how she said it. Did you always believe that they existed? She says, well, I'm a romantic, so I always wanted that. And there you have it. Ba, 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 ba. Where does it say about evidence?
She's also talking to Dr. Meldrum, who you talked to here.
Yeah, we had Dr. Meldrum. What is his full name?
Jeffrey Meldrum.
Jeffrey Meldrum. And he's a professor, right?
Yeah, he had that. I think he brought in the
Bigfoot foot. He was the guy. Dr. Meldrum was a really nice guy. But he also said he'd be willing to cut off a finger to know that Bigfoot was real. I went, whoa. Like, what finger? Like a pinky? You lose a pinky?
Which one would you go with? Pinky? No, because you'd want the pinky because that's the farthest leverage to the other side of the thumb, right? So it's sort of like a claw. Maybe the ring finger?
It's a good point.
The middle finger seems pretty pointless.
Is that her?
This is the interview, but I don't know where in the interview it is.
Oh, okay.
From my perspective,
Trying to take a guess.
Just considering the
Well,
film
Yeah.
from
you're going to be amazed when I tell you. I'm sure they exist. It's like a scene in a movie when she says it, because here she is, this esteemed scientist, right? And you're expecting, well, there's no evidence, and right now, that's just, we think of it as legend. It could possibly be a bunch of different things that people think they saw.
Voice and delivery is important when it comes to being convinced of something.
Oh, yeah.
You think about, like, all the way to just comedians.
Right.
You think of Chappelle's voice. If you look at the transcript of what Chappelle's saying at times, I'm sure it's not that insane. But you listen to him say those things. Same goes with who? Joey Diaz.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And
when it's coming from a scientist with long gray hair who lives with chimps.
She must be. I mean, you think she's hooked up with a chimp? I mean, all those nights. Come on.
No chance.
She
No
lives with all of them?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sounds like there's some monkey
dare you.
business going on over there.
Oh, no, you
No,
didn't. You couldn't help it.
I didn't even mean
you
to.
set it up. Here it is.
989-8255.
Sasquatch is so
Sharif in
real.
Philadelphia. Hi.
How are you doing? I wanted to know if you believe there are any undiscovered large ape species.
Ah, here it is.
Talking about Yeti or Bigfoot or Sasquatch.
Is that what he's talking about?
Yes, it is.
Is that the message I'm missing here?
I think that's the message you're missing.
Is that right, Sharif?
Pretty much.
I'm out of the loop. Go ahead.
Well, now you'll be
One of the cooler things to believe in because it's not,
Oh, yeah, man.
even if it did exist, like, we have guns and shit, whereas, like, if aliens existed, we're fucked.
Yeah, we're fucked. Maybe.
So we're sort of rooting for the Sasquatches in the world.
Well,
out of all the...
Look, there had to be a bunch of different kinds of human being-like creatures that existed. It just only makes sense. They're finding new ones all the time. They're, like, constantly finding some new subspecies of people that they weren't aware of before. It's super possible that something grew to be like that. Like, why wouldn't it be? If we can get a chimp, why is that so weird? Like, it's not any weirder than a person or a chimp. Both of those things are way weirder. Like, if we found another person, we'd be like, holy shit, look what it's done. Like, if we poked our head into some other dimension, right? And we just stuck our head through and we saw the impact of a human civilization on the natural world, we'd be like, what the fuck? That's way crazier than Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Like, a human being is making tubes out of aluminum with giant wings and shooting itself into the sky and landing on different spots. It's sucking oil out of the ground and using it to build everything. It's talking online and it goes through the air and winds up in your phone. All this is done by a human. That's way crazier than Bigfoot. That's fucking crazy. Then you go to chimps. Chimps are way crazier than Bigfoot. They're hunting monkeys, man. They're fucking forming little societies together. Some of them are figuring out how to use tools.
Yeah.
And they're right there. Like, that's way crazier than Bigfoot. Bigfoot's just a shy guy. That's fucking, he just wants to be alone. Just let him find a good place to shit. You can't find any Bigfoot shit because he's always paranoid that people are watching him, so he's holding his shit in.
I think Jane Goodall's wrong on this one. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know her, but I'm gonna go out there off on a limb.
That is a limb. It's quite a limb, sir. Why would you think that she would think it's real? Because she wants it to be real?
Yeah, and, you know, she said that she was talking to Native Americans about it, and, you know, they're like, you know, they go off on, they're a little bit trippy, right?
Right, they might have been peyote
and
the
whatnot.
fuck up, right?
Yeah.
Who knows? You know, just like saying you talk to 2 Native Americans is like saying I talked to 2 white people. Like, they're just people. You know, just because they happen to be Native Americans, like they got street cred for Bigfoot. That's what she's saying.
Yeah, she's made
she's
a point.
She's giving Native Americans Bigfoot street cred. They'd be closer to the Sasquatch. They named it.
It's like if anybody knows about almost going extinct, it should be.
State of California sued because it won't recognize Bigfoot.
Oh, wow.
What is this? Is this today?
Yeah, this was actually posted.
That's a lost lawsuit. That's what that is, my
Is there
friend.
synchronicity going on here? There's a lot of people in this country who claim to believe the existence of Bigfoot, but one California woman believes it so strongly in the beast that she's actually filed a lawsuit to prove it. Could you imagine being the court systems all choked up with divorce and corruption and tax evasion and whatever the fuck else they investigate, and this crazy lady... It's like, I'm suing you. I got a team of lawyers. We're taking the whole state down. We're taking the whole state down. They won't recognize Sasquatch. We won't recognize them. And she's just going to town, getting crazy. She makes a GoFundMe. And Bigfoot people, they're like super pumped when there's some action. Something's happening. They'll fucking donate to that GoFundMe. A little bit here, a little bit here. There's a lot of Bigfoot lovers out there. And this chick could be fighting the government.
Here's her video.
Imagine the lawyer that takes that case. Like,
is this a video of her with Bigfoot?
Yeah, she said it was 30 feet up into a tree.
It seems real. Where?
I don't know. I mean,
You see Bigfoot? These people are, I'm sure, wonderful people that really, 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 really want Bigfoot to exist. And when you really, 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 really want Bigfoot to exist, you sort of figure out a way to make him exist in your mind. There's no evidence. The problem is there's nothing. There's no footprints that are like attached to hair, you know, where you could get like a little bit of hair off of it and say, oh, well, this is definitely a primate. There's none of that. They don't have any of that. They have these mushy, you know, footprints that people have made in the mud. They say impossible to fake. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're impossible to fake. But I do know that I haven't seen one picture that looks real. I've seen one video. Everything just smells like bullshit.
yeah.
The problem I always have with it is it always looks like a man in a suit. And here's the thing. The only thing that looks like a man in a suit is a man in a suit. Like even a chimp doesn't look like a man in a suit. They move different, man. Chimps kind of like throw themselves with their arms and kick up. They move different. You can't move like that. You can't move like that. You could try. You're not going to be able to move the way a chimp moves. Especially if a chimp's moving fast. Just get the fuck out of here. It's like you're not even close. You look like a guy pretending to be a chimp. You're moving like a guy. All these things move like people. They move like people. Like your brain, that little computer in your brain that recognizes shapes goes, oh, that's a guy in a monkey suit.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Instantly. It's exactly what you think. Because it is.
That one
'Cause that's what
video
it is.
with the famous one, that we know that one's was a guy in a suit, right?
Well, there's people that dispute it, but that's the Patterson footage. The Patterson footage is like the most famous footage in all of Bigfoot lore, because this guy who, and I'm pretty sure the guy was he was arrested for something like, for not paying, I believe it was something like not paying for the very camera that he used to film the Bigfoot footage.
Wow.
He was arrested for it. So the guy, okay, he's stealing cameras. Right? That's not good.
Right.
And then there's another guy who claims that he wore the suit. What the fuck is that guy's name? I always forget that guy's name.
That guy?
Gimlin is the guy that was there. And then there was the other guy who wore the suit. He was a large fella. And there's a picture of him walking. Like he showed how he did it, and he walked. And then you see on the other side of the screen the guy in the monkey suit doing the exact same walking. Hieronymus,
Yeah, I was
Bob,
gonna say Bob Hieronymus.
Bob
I was gonna say that
Hieronymus.
was coming to my
That's
head,
it.
yeah.
Now I remember. Bob Hieronymus, who's a big cowboy-looking dude, and they had him walk with a monkey suit on. Wow. And everybody was like, "That's real Bigfoot footage." This guy bought a monkey suit too, by the way. Like, the guy who made the film, he had bought a monkey suit.
Wow.
And he said he was going to use the monkey suit to, like, film reenactments or practice filming with it or something like that. Some cockamamie reason for having a monkey suit. It's just like the whole thing is so stupid. It's if you look at all the pieces involved, you're like, oh yeah, you guys were fucking around and you filmed some shit while you were on a horse. So it was all bouncy. You see this thing walking across the stream. But now they can isolate that footage because it used to be all bouncy and shaky. With computers, they can isolate it and get it all into one flat plane, and you watch it move. It's a fucking guy in a monkey suit, man. 100%. Right?
Yeah.
You've seen it. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
You watch that shit, you go, what am I looking at? What are you doing here?
It's crazy.
But people want to believe so bad.
Yeah, I've never had a chance of believing in the whole Bigfoot thing. It was always just silly to me. I remember, was it John Lithgow and Harry and the Hendersons back in the day or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah. I grew up on that, and I was just always like, that's like a fake character. It's like, I think if you see Harry and the Hendersons before finding out about Bigfoot, it's like believing that Barney the dinosaur would exist out there.
The only reason to give it any credence at all is the vast expanse of wilderness that exists in the Pacific Northwest, because it's so lush. It's so crazy that no one's getting in there and figuring out exactly what's in there. Like, I really think everyone who lives in this area, especially, because you can get up there pretty quick, but anybody anywhere should go to the Pacific Northwest. Like, go to the mountains right above Seattle. That's a crazy place, man. That was way crazier than looking for Bigfoot. One of the craziest parts about that trip was being in that real rainforest. The real thing was fucking bananas. It's thick like you can't see anything.
Yeah.
Like every 2 feet there's another tree. I mean, it's just thick with trees.
Which reminds me of my favorite thing, basically mystery ever, D.B. Cooper, because that's where he jumped out of that plane at.
Really?
Was in the most horrible place you can imagine.
Did he do that in Pacific Northwest?
Oh yeah, they flew out of Seattle, heading back down again, and he just hit that button on the rear
that's crazy.
case. They felt the plane shake, and then boof, he's gone.
He's gonna land in the trees for sure.
And it seems like that, but his parachute, none of his stuff ever recovered. And then they combed that thing. They did find like a stack of money, I think like 10 or 20,000 of the bills sort of buried at a beach next to a creek.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's one of my favorite fucking little, I mean, the fact that that guy maybe made off with, I think it was something low, like 150 or.
Yeah, he got $200,000.
Yeah, $200,000. But back then, because this is in what year?
71.
71.
Wow.
And he didn't just hijack the plane. He made the plane land, get rid of the passengers, bring the parachutes, bring the money, and have it take off again. Like, this is way back before, he just, it was a true hijacking. They land at the airport. They're like, I'm going to save all the passengers' lives, but here's the catch. I need $200,000, a few parachutes, and something else, like something weird, right?
Wow.
And they never found him. They never found the body. They never found his suit. They found his clip-on tie. Somehow that, was found somewhere. But it makes it even crazier when you factor in that they found the clip-on tie and not the parachute and not the suit and not, you know what I mean? Because then it's almost like he's just got his $200,000 and is just walking off.
I think they said that the money was never spent, though. Is that true?
I'm looking up. In August of last year, they found a 18-inch nylon strap, which they think might have been a piece of his parachute. I don't know how they would know that right away, but so I'm looking up some other information.
Keyword might.
Yeah, no.
Might have been some shit. Some campers left behind too.
Yeah. And I was just in Australia, and I visited the grave of the Taiyam Shud, another crazy mystery one. You ever hear of that one? The guy that was found at the beach. in Adelaide. I actually went to the cemetery and visited his grave during the day, one of the days I had off there when I was doing shows in Adelaide. And this guy was found at a beach. This is another one of the great mysteries ever. Found at a beach wearing a suit. He had a half-lit a cigarette that was out like in his collar. They found him. He'd been dead. They don't know the guy. There's no ID on him, no nothing. So they keep him around for a few weeks in the morgue waiting for some type of information on the guy. They just don't want to bury him. And eventually they cut through his clothes and they find that there's a little pocket with a piece of paper like on the inseam of his pants or shirt. I can't remember. They trace that. They can tell that it's cut out of a book called the Tayem Shud or something like that. I'm not saying it right because it's some old Latin word or something. But there's a code on it and a phone number there's a code on it, but they know that no, there's not a code on it. It's just a piece of paper from a book.
Okay.
And they have the page and everything. So they go to the newspaper. They're like, hey, does anybody have this copy of this book so that we can find out who this guy is and why this is sewed in on him? They don't get anything. So they go nationwide to Australia and try to figure out what this piece of paper's from. They find the book in another part of Australia with the missing part. And in that book is a phone number and a code that every code breaker ever has tried to figure out. And they just don't know. So it's the Tomb of the Unknown Man.
Whoa.
Yeah. And it goes like deep. There's so many theories about what happened to this guy, and it could have been the CIA. He could have been an American spy. He could have been a Russian spy. He could have been an Australian spy. Like, nobody knows anything about this guy.
Whoa.
And they followed up, and there's a guy that like has some crazy theory, but I don't know.
There's a guy that has a crazy theory.
I mean, there's a ton
That's
of
for
people
everything
that
in the world. You know, there's people that think that the Elon Musk thing was fake, is a hoax.
Oh my God! I saw someone yesterday with that malarkey. Yeah.
DNA
Somerton
just
Man.
tied a mystery death in Australia to Thomas Jefferson.
Whoa, when's that from?
This is that guy.
Unidentified man found dead on Australian beach baffled investigators for decades. A new DNA analysis links Somerton Man to Thomas Jefferson and Native Americans. So he was an ancestor of Thomas Jefferson and Native Americans?
That's interesting. I've never read that.
Yeah, so they essentially just did a DNA test on him.
They call him the Somerton Man because that's the beach that he was found at.
You guys, you know about this Elizabeth Warren stuff? Do you know who that woman is? She's a politician.
Yeah.
And she apparently at one point in her life claimed to be part Native American. And now just like won't talk about it, won't do a DNA test, won't. She's like, they were like, do you have any pictures? She's like, yes, I have many pictures, and they're not for you, is what she said to like investigators.
Man. And then you got Trump just calling her Pocahontas.
He calls her Pocahontas. It's so brutal. She hits back at Trump's use of Pocahontas, vows to highlight Native American issues. You know, I wish I wasn't skeptical. I wish I thought she was awesome, and this isn't real. But what's weird is that I think it gave you some sort of an advantage for her to be Native American in terms of like getting into certain schools or what have you. I don't know if that's true. Yeah. She might be part Native American. She might be like, fuck you, I don't have to tell you. That's possible too. I don't think that's the best move, but maybe she doesn't know. Maybe she, like, there's always that is a thing with families. Like, your family would tell you, yeah, your grandmother was 23% Navajo, and you're like, wow, I'm fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know, like, it gives you an extra little bit of badass. This is why Jane Goodall was willing to accept she's like, the 2 Native Americans told me. Well, you could have talked to 2 other ones who would have said, what the fuck out of here with that.
Yeah.
You could have, I mean, people are people, man. It doesn't matter if you're a white person or a Native American person or whatever your ethnicity is. There's going to be a spectrum of people in that group. And some of them are going to just be Bigfoot believers, man. It doesn't matter if they're Native American. It doesn't matter. There's sometimes people are bored and they want to believe in Bigfoot. So they start thinking they hear things that they don't really hear. They start thinking they're camping out. This one guy thought they were camping out outside his window, that they lived in the forest, like right outside his back door, that they come near where he is.
Bigfoot.
And he sees them. Yeah. Mm-hmm. They read your mind. They can sense when cameras are around. They won't show themselves.
Oh, that's pretty smart. What a great evolved habit that is.
But then, like we were saying earlier, some of them truly believe that Bigfoot is like some interstellar traveler. that maybe he's from another dimension. That he's a creature from another dimension.
Yeah, because creatures from other dimensions are super hairy too and look just like that, and that makes sense.
Maybe he's real, but you can only see him when you're on mushrooms. Do you imagine that?
That sort of makes sense.
Imagine if you did, like, there was a perfect dose where you could see him. You get into his world, and you see him. It looks like Bigfoot, but he's all in, like, a rainbow.
I mean, I've been on mushrooms and seen the same thing that wasn't there as somebody next to me. I thought it was a UFO, but one of the guys told me that it was like someone playing with like a laser light thing, like out in the distance.
Oh.
But I don't know.
It could have been. If you're on mushrooms, it could be. If you saw a laser, like, those laser pointers are so weird. Like, assholes point them at planes. Like, that's how ridiculous those things are. It's kind of weird. It's very weird.
When I was a kid, that was like the funniest thing you could do was just have a laser pointer and have a red dot appear on the wall, like during class where the teacher has
People are like,
no
put
idea.
that away. First, they didn't know about it, remember?
Yeah.
Teachers didn't know about it.
Yeah.
Those red dots are showing up. They didn't know what it was.
Very rebellious. Cats love those things, so that's always fun.
That became like a thing in a movie, man. Dude's got his hands up, red dots moving all over his body. It means they had the gun on him. Right? That was a exciting part of a movie. Like, oh my God, look, they got him.
Yeah, it happened to me and my buddies once. We were speeding away. We were underage at a high school drinking party. Yeah, dude, it was nasty. And the party got busted up by the cops. Everybody ran out the back door, like 70 kids at once. Me, my 4 buddies got slammed into my one pal's car, and we're driving down the street, and you just hear, stop! Stop the fucking car! And I look to my right, my buddy in the middle of the back seat has the red dot right on him, up and down from his head to his neck. Like, it was crazy.
Jesus Christ. Yeah,
And
man.
we all got in trouble for
Cops
that one.
never know. They never know. Could it be young Tony Hinchcliffe and his mischievous friend? Or could it be murderer, bank robber trying to flee?
Yeah.
Could it be
This
carjacker?
cop, that cop in particular, was a real bad person. Like, I mean, he knew that they just busted up a kid's drinking party and that all the kids were scattering at once, and he decided to stand in the middle of the street. And he said that, like, you know, first of all, he could have easily have shot us because you're standing in the middle of the street instead of having common sense. Like, there's so many other things happening. But he could say that that's assault with a deadly weapon if you're driving towards somebody. So he runs out in the street, pulls out his gun, almost can't wait, it seemed, for my buddy to not stop. I mean, it was one of those shady cops. In fact, I'm pretty sure that's the same cop from where I'm from that saw a UFO, and it was on TV when I was a kid. Yeah, there was a big thing in Liberty Township, just outside of Youngstown, where this one cop saw a UFO and nobody could take him seriously after that.
Oh my God, that is hilarious. But here's the thing, by me saying all this, I'm not saying that people haven't seen UFOs, because I don't know what they've seen. It's totally possible that something that's capable of coming here from another dimension, especially before recently, right, would be able to figure out how to avoid detection somehow or another. They're probably pretty close to figuring out how to do that now. I mean, they have the stealth bomber, which avoids radar detection. And I know they have those cloaks. You've seen those jackets that people wear where it literally shows a video of what's behind you? Yeah, it's like this new technology that they're trying to develop where literally your clothes would show exactly what's behind you. So you've got a camera, some sort of camera system mounted somewhere on you, and it's taking a picture of what's behind you. It's streaming what's behind you. And so then that appears on your clothes. So as you move, you literally are everything that's behind you. There's this weird, like, Predator effect from the movie. It's very crude right now. But you look at it and you go, oh, this is the future. They're just going to become, everything's going to be, it's.
The future's scary.
It's
You watch Black
weird.
Mirror?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Yes.
They make it look like everything in the future is going to make us crazy.
That show's so good, man.
Wow.
It's so good.
Yeah.
In terms of like a show that makes you just like after the show's over, you just go, what the fuck? That Crocodile episode, Crocodile, I had like 15 friends text me after that going, what in the fuck was that?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's so crazy and it's so good and you can see it happening. You're like, no fucking way. No fucking way. Like, oh my God. I don't remember a show ever that's that powerful. Like when it comes to a science fiction type show.
Yeah.
I don't remember, I mean, there were some amazing shows on before, but they were all really fiction shows, right? Like this is fiction with like a dash of futuristic possibility, like dystopian future. That fucking dog one with the robot dog.
Oh yeah.
Jesus Christ. What was that called? Metalhead? Is that what it was?
Yep.
Fucking A, man. Oh. You're like, I could see this. This could be real. Like what? What are we doing?
The future seems scary.
You see that robot open up the door? Open up the door and hold it for his friends?
No.
Dude, robot opened up a door. Click. Open the latch. Well, yeah, that guy. Whoa. Dude, look at this thing. Watch this shit. Just first of all, look at it. And just imagine it with guns everywhere. Of course you can imagine that, right? Laser pointers and guns everywhere. So this thing walks up, grabs the fucking handle, turns the door. Check this out. Puts its leg there to stop the door. Walks the door back. So it has some kind of intelligence. Unless that's a programmed move.
And has there ever been anything that doesn't get like a virus or things go wrong at some point? Of course, this is all going to happen.
It's going to go wrong.
It's going to go wrong.
But I wonder if that's a programmed move. Like it told it the exact steps to take and it measured out all the inches and then knew the exact movements to make. Or if it can accurately calculate distance. So they've given it, in a sense, some sort of electronic eyes, right? If it can walk up to a door, grab the handle, turn it and pull it, and then hold the door open with its leg, let its friends go by, like, what is that?
We're fucked.
That kind of articulation is very crazy to think that you could teach something to do that. So are you only teaching it to do doors, or can it just do that with everything? That's when it gets weird. What it gets weird is if it can create. If you could figure out, well, if it works on this, what kind of door do we have here? Oh, I see. This thing's just a slide. Is it going to be able to figure that out? That's kind of, it's discerning.
It seems like it would be able to figure it out pretty easily, especially when you factor in that everything in the future is going to be more like technological anyway, like the doors even, you know, like turning a knob or sliding a door is going to be ridiculous because people are just going to be like Jedis or whatever, you know.
A lot of people have fingerprint things now for stuff, like fingerprint things for like opening doors. Seen fingerprint things for locks at the gym, just a fingerprint thing now. That's like a new thing.
Yeah, that's why you wouldn't want to cut off your thumb out of all the fingers to cut off.
Well, it's just really interesting to me how quick all this technology is moving. And how it doesn't seem like there's any end in sight. And most of us, like you and I, like normal people, are sitting back watching this on internet videos going, woo, what do we do? Like, when do we stop? When do we stop making robots that could kill us? Like, before they're smart or after they're smart? After they're smart, they're going to just stay alive.
And obviously, as soon as we can latch guns onto them, they're going in for war.
They've already done it.
Yeah.
That's what a drone is.
Yeah.
Think about what a drone is. What a drone is someone is piloting something. Just because it's flying around doesn't mean it's not a robot. All right, that's a fucking robot. It's a robot airship, and they're flying it around, and they're getting these kids that are wizards in video games. Like, if you want to have some fucking impossible to beat armies, you hook them up with some of those iRobot things from that Will Smith movie. You make them all bulletproof, and you have a bunch of kids that just play wicked video games all day, know how to fuck people up with Madden and that UFC game. and you fucking send those kids piloting these things in real time. You send them to parts of the world. And that would be, first of all, it would be 10 times more terrifying than drones, right? Some things running through your street.
I just thought of something. I was going to say, the problem I've always had with this idea is like our battery life that we use on stuff is terrible.
Yeah, it's going to eat people.
But what batteries are they using in those drones that are flying up above now that are overseas doing damage and whatnot? Are those like special batteries that we don't have access to that maybe in 5 years we will? And this question won't be so weird to us.
Are you sure that that's the way those things fly?
I was almost just going to ask that. I don't know how they fly. I don't think they're gas powered though. But
well, let's find out. That'd be a good thing to know.
We might not be able to find that out. I don't think.
They won't tell
Department of Defense stuff.
You're scared to Google it.
Almost a little bit.
That's not something you want to be Googling. You do not want to Google how far can you fly a drone
I'd rather wonder.
on gasoline while it's carrying 2 missiles. Just wondering.
That sounds like the most American thing ever. A drone's
Just
filled
wondering.
with gas and oil
Just wondering.
with missiles. That's what's happening. Drones.
Well, we have to worry about people more than we even have to worry about drones. Right? This new shooting in Florida freaked me the fuck out again.
Yeah, it's happening all the time now.
It's horrific. And the crazy thing is, like, kids used to joke around about this guy doing that someday. That was something they joked around about.
I think that the way that the news reports it and the way that it's such big news isn't helping at all. Because one thing that I've noticed is the whole car ramming thing. Like, that's a new thing.
Car ramming thing?
Where a lot of the things that are happening are people just getting in a truck or a car and just running people down.
Yeah.
It's a fairly new thing that started with, like, I don't know, maybe that French one or something like that. I can't remember the first one. But since then, because the report, they report it and they blow these things up and then bing, bang, boom. Like, I feel like going off of the car ramming situation and the growth in car rammings alone, that we could sort of see how overly reporting these. I mean, I don't know if that's even a thing or if what I'm saying is making sense at all, but
I know what you're trying to say, but the counter to that would be someone made a really good analogy. The point being, what this is only happening here. We have to figure out why it's happening here so often. It rarely happens anywhere else, but here it happens pretty often. So what is that? Is it access to guns? Is it mental health? Is it both of those things? Is it it's just far too easy to get guns? Is it that you're not being monitored in the sense of being talked about? And people don't want anybody infringing upon their rights, right? But if we just sat down and had a rational conversation with someone to renew a gun license, rational conversation with someone who doesn't work for a gun group or anything, just someone who could just give you a reasonable reason why you should be suspicious about this person having a firearm. And you really don't want to do that either, though, because you can't trust people. It's like you're putting people in a position of power to decide who gets the guns and who doesn't get the guns. It's all very, very fucking terrifying and confusing.
it seems like the AR-15 is the one that they need to keep an eye on, because all the biggest ones are that, and it seems to be able to mow down a lot of people at once.
Yeah, semi-automatic rifles are more effective in those type of mass shooting situations. That's why those guys use them. That's why they use them in, all sorts of horrific ways all around the world, right? That's what they're good at. So then the question is, are they too lethal for a regular person to just be carrying around? You'd want to know why a regular person wants to carry them around, and then you would realize, is that really my right to even ask a regular person why they need it? I mean, if most of these people are law-abiding gun owners, when we freak out that one person who legally bought a gun, in this case, is a kid who legally bought it, does this horrific thing? It's a very good question. And it's a question we all have to ask ourselves. Like, how many times does this happen before something happens? And is the answer arming the schools? That's a fucking terrifying answer. Putting armed guards at schools. Like, I saw a story where someone had held up 2 signs. which it was like a Instagram thing, and so it was the two signs were which one of these signs would make you feel good if you were like a killer. And it shows no weapons, like a no weapon sign, and then it also shows a sign with an armed guard saying that the staff is armed and trained. And you know, you're looking at the two of those, you're like, oh, God damn it, I don't want either one of these fucking things.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want weapons in the schools, but I don't want them to need weapons in schools. That's why I don't want it there.
Yeah.
But when they, you know, when scenes like this happen, you have to go, well, is there a way? I don't know. I don't know what the way is, other than even if you take people's guns away, God damn, you're not going to get all of them. There's too many of them. The number of guns that people have today, I think it outnumbers humans. I think the number of guns, like total in this country, outnumber humans.
Insanity.
Even if you are for guns, when the number of things that can kill us outnumber us, what? Are we overreacting? Are we crazy? Are we stockpiling for some fucking terrible collapse that we're all afraid of?
Is that just our thing because we're like, we were like the last country or whatever, you think? Is it like defensive?
It's a good question. It's a good question.
Like crazy scared country?
Well, there's different uses for firearms. And who are you to say that like recreational shooters who are respectable, law-abiding people, and there's a lot of them out there that are very good people. They just love to shoot pistols at targets. They do competitions. They enjoy it. They like being proficient with a firearm for their own personal safety. And there have been cases, I think there was a case in, I want to say it was in Ohio, where some guy was stabbing somebody at a mall, and some dude who was a trained shooter at one of those shooting competition things shot the guy and killed him when he was running around stabbing people at the mall. And it was one of those things where no one wanted to play that up in the media because they thought it was like irresponsible. It's irresponsible to play up the idea of the rogue vigilante with a pistol.
Yeah.
But that was a real guy. Like, the guy's actually like kind of a hero. Like, if he was in a Bruce Willis movie, you'd be fucking pumped. Like, that guy cases, I think there was a case in, I want to say it was in Ohio, where some guy was stabbing somebody at a mall, and some dude who was a trained shooter at one of those shooting competition things shot the guy and killed him when he was running around stabbing people at the mall. And it was one of those things where no one wanted to play that up in the media because they thought it was like irresponsible. It's irresponsible to play up the idea of the rogue vigilante with a pistol.
Yeah.
But that was a real guy. Like, the guy's actually like kind of a hero. Like, if he was in a Bruce Willis movie, you'd be fucking pumped. Like, that guy's kind of a hero.
Yeah.
Like, he was a normal citizen that happened to have a concealed carry permit, right?
Found another similar story, I guess, from what you're describing in Minnesota. Where it was an off-duty cop that stopped somebody that was stabbed 10 people.
Yeah. It was an off-duty cop that was the stab one, so I got that wrong. Was he? Who was the firearm instructor one?
I don't know this.
I got that wrong.
There might have been another similar story too. I don't know.
Might have been, but there was definitely one. I'm sorry if I fucked that up. There was definitely one where the guy was a one of those big NRA shooting competition type characters. This is a terrible, terrible tragedy, and these terrible tragedies seem to keep happening, and we don't do anything to change. Everybody's worried about, their Second Amendment rights being taken away. People worried about law-abiding people who would never do anything like this, worried about their guns getting taken away. But they, and all of us, we have to figure this out. This can't just.
Don't ask the owner. He's not allowed to bring his gun. Get back to that phone call. No, not mine. I had 2 shows that.
It's the most heartbreaking news you could ever hear, right? Someone decides to go kill kids.
The story you're talking about was in Texas.
Okay, man who opened fire in Texas church shooter was hailed as a good Samaritan. Oh, there was that guy. There was another guy, though. It must have been the undercover cop, because it was the stabbing story. I might have conflated them. I do that on occasion. Well, we got the story. In 2 instances, someone who wasn't supposed to be there with a gun had a gun. One of them just happened to be an undercover cop. You don't want people to be vigilantes. You don't want people to be out there fucking Charles Bronson in it, but
I was performing at a comedy club in Dallas a couple weeks ago, and I was standing out front near the the host booth for a second, and they get a phone call, and the guy goes, "You know what, sir? I actually don't know. Let me ask my boss. I've never been asked that before." And he puts the phone on hold and goes to find the owner, but like before he does, I go, "What's that person asking for?" Like, I was just curious, like what he's never been asked. He goes, he wants to know if he can bring his gun. He has a concealed carry license. I don't know the exact laws here. I'm like, no, don't ask the owner. He's not allowed to bring his gun. Get back to that phone call. No, not mine. I had 2 shows that night. Like, no, concealed carry.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine who carries everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere.
Man.
Yeah.
I hope I never accidentally make fun of him.
He's a firearms instructor. Yeah, he carries everywhere. He lives in Arizona. You can do whatever the fuck you want in Arizona. Arizona thinks it's the 1800s.
You think if I did my cartwheel somersault thing, you'd still be able to get me, though?
Maybe not. Maybe not. You are a clever fella.
I always picture that. And you know what else I always picture is in elevators. If the elevator falls and you're in free fall, would you jump? Would you try to jump at the end to sort of...
That's not how it works.
Yeah, because you're going the speed of the elevator anyway.
You're going to get crushed the same exact amount. You're fucked.
Darn it.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I was going to try to jump.
There's nothing you can do with that one, dude. That's a sad, fucked up way to die. Elevator accident. You know, that's one of the things when you're in a place like Manhattan and you're on the 89th floor of a fucking building and you're like, what is this nonsense? What is this nonsense?
I feel like it's even worse when they it gets stuck, but it's halfway in between floors, and someone tries to climb out, and then you've heard of them like getting decapitated or whatever, and like their heads there.
They get severed in half. Yeah, dude, those people up there on that 90th floor, those people are just view monkeys. They love it. Yeah. What gets me higher? I want to look over this whole fucking city. Wouldn't you want to be on the first floor? I want to be on the first floor. Okay, so I can just get the fuck out of there, get out of the office, and go home. Why would I want to be on the 100th floor unless I'm just look at all that shit down below me, motherfucker. I'm up here at the top of the tree because I'm the #1 chimp. You fucks. Bring my helicopter. I'm flying right above these guys with my dick out the window. Right? That's the ultimate, is to be a dude who lives in the penthouse and gets helicoptered around Manhattan and drop down some fucking dude covered in like extinct fox fur, you know, strutting his shit. That's the ultimate, to have a penthouse on the top of a giant building in New York City and have a helicopter land on your roof. You'd be special agent baller.
I wouldn't even get in the helicopter. I would have the helicopter. I would attach a rope to the helicopter and have the helicopter go, and I just fly like that underneath the helicopter, so that when they slowly land, I land detached.
There are guys like that out there. This is what you like. Not obviously not wearing extinct furs, but there's guys that are that rich that just get helicoptered around Manhattan, and they go to the Hamptons. They get helicoptered out to the Hamptons. They land in their estate. They get out their estate. They have people waiting there in full outfit that work for them. It's like they're in some colonial time. I mean, they're living in this is a total alternate universe of human beings.
Fuck yeah.
Have you seen those crazy Hamptons houses? Like way out in... What's this?
Wait, Matt Lauer.
NBC pays for Matt Lauer's helicopter rides to work. Yeah. Oh, there you go. From the Hamptons. Bam. His chopper out to the Hamptons, where he has a 40-acre horse farm.
Wow.
He's balling. Oh, he's balling so hard. Balling so hard, Matt Lauer.
Wow. Took a helicopter ride to his nice office with the button.
That's that thing, man. And it's not just guys like him. It's, you know, rich hedge fund guys and Wall Street guys. I mean, there's people that just have ungodly sums of money. Like, you can't wrap your head around it. You're never going to understand it. They have $100 million estates. $100 million. You're looking at $100 million estate. You're like, what? What the fuck is this?
That's insane.
Yeah, that's a weird thing about capitalism, that someone can get that far out of whack. They could ball that hard. Above all, like, what did you do?
And those are some of my favorite crazy stories. Is like the Jinx, the Robert Durst one, where he came from, you know, the family that owns just Manhattan skyscrapers, and boom, he's crazy. The DuPont guy with the wrestling team. Yeah. That's another wild one.
That's one of the wildest ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a terrifying one. Steve Carell can act his fucking ass off, can he?
Hell yeah. Yeah, he's great.
It's another thing where someone used a gun to kill someone that they were threatened by in some sort of masculine way, because Dave Schultz was like this super badass wrestler.
Yeah.
Just top of the him and his brother Mark, top of the food chain wrestlers. That's a terrible story.
I almost went to the, I'm pretty sure I almost went to the Matt Schultz, is it Mark Schultz? Mark Schultz wrestling camp. Back when I was in high school. I went to the Ohio State one instead.
He fought Big Daddy Goodrich in the UFC way back in the day. It was his one and only MMA fight in the UFC. And it's really interesting because in the movie that they did with Steve Carell, like, that's a historical moment. See, they don't understand MMA. So when they made that movie, the cage fighting part was like, yeah, whatever, we'll just fucking fudge this. Like, why would I believe that anything in that movie is what really happened when the thing that I know for sure really happened, you fucked up?
Yeah.
The thing that I know for sure really happened is this guy, Big Daddy Goodrich, fought Schultz when Schultz was a top of the food chain wrestler, man, and he just took him down at will. He handled him at will.
He took Schultz down.
Oh no. There'll be none of that.
Yeah.
There'll be none of that.
Yeah.
Mark Schultz was a gorilla.
Yeah.
I mean, just like I said, top of the food chain American wrestler. He's a fucking tank.
Yeah.
And so this is him fighting Gary Goodrich, like very little striking training. He's just looking for this. And once he gets this, fuck all that. Boom.
Yep.
Takes him to the ground like he's a sack of potatoes, beats the shit out of him, mounts him, does whatever he wants to him when he has him on the ground. Whatever he wants to him. It's a level of grappling that the UFC, up until then, had never seen. You know, it's like if a guy like Daniel Cormier entered into the octagon back there. Same kind of thing. Just takes everybody's going down. Shut the fuck up. There's not going to be any stuff in these takedowns.
There's a guy named Jordan Burroughs out there that I would...
What's that?
Why'd they just stop that right there?
Because, it was different times, man. It was, back then,
cut?
yeah, they didn't know what the fuck they were doing half the time. Like, look, Mark's got no gloves on and Gary's got no gloves on, but back in the day, you could wear gloves if you wanted to. And I think he has shoes on, yep. I mean, every time he wants to, he can take him down. There's just, and he's mounted him.
Wow.
This is just a level of grappling that you just don't understand. You're not getting him off you. Stop. Just stop. This is nonsense. You don't even understand. This is like and Big Daddy Goodrich, I should just say, is a incredibly strong guy and an awesome athlete. What's happening here? Did he tap? What happened?
It's Big John.
Oh, did he key lock him? Is that what he's... That's interesting. In my head, I had that he beat him up and won a decision. How did that result? Did he submit him? No, I can't believe I remember this wrong. Well, either way, I just remember just watching.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like he got him in a key lock.
Finally, there's just too much blood even for the ref.
Oh, no, okay, it wasn't that. They just stopped it. Huh. Okay. So it was a stoppage. Either way.
There's a guy named Jordan Burroughs who, when he wrestles, he's the greatest double leg takedown ever. Just shoots low, drives in. His opponents know he's going to do it. He's won multiple golds. I mean, he's just a monster. And I would love love to see him learn how to strike a little bit or learn some jiu-jitsu and figure out UFC, because in like almost the history of wrestling, this guy is a freak. Shoots low. There's nothing you can do.
Here he is.
There's just nothing. He just dominates
Some
people.
serious drive, man. Boom, boom.
Over and over again. Just destroys people.
Look at that drive, man. God damn, he's good.
He wrestled on like Times Square. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No.
That was cool. Yeah.
He wrestled in Times Square?
last year, maybe like in the winter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Look at that.
Damn,
Where's
this
that guy
wrestling's
going?
Insane.
Nowhere.
Well, you know, this is what we're seeing with Khabib Nurmagomedov. When you see like this super high level striking, or excuse me, super high level grappling, it shuts down even like really good grapplers. Is this him in Times Square?
Yeah.
Wow, this is awesome. Who was he wrestling against?
Some guy that thought he was about to get points right there.
That's crazy. Who was he wrestling against? Does it say? Oh, it's got some rap music on it that'll get us kicked off YouTube.
But these are like world championships and
Crazy.
stuff.
Crazy, man. Serious power and technique. I think that's the most important skill in MMA. I've always thought it, and I still do, because I think these guys can learn defense for grappling, defense for jiu-jitsu, and they can learn submissions, which is probably even more important, way quicker than a regular person. They're so used to squeezing shit already.
Yeah.
They're constantly used to squeezing things and gripping and pulling. And unlike jiu-jitsu with the gi, which relies a lot of it on grips, and like there's an entanglement factor that you have to really take into account, and they can really slow the game down that way. You can't do that with wrestling.
Another thing with wrestling is hip movement and hip control and spinning around a guy, hitting a easy reversal just from popping down and back up. And
Yeah. If you don't wrestle, you're not taking a wrestler down.
Yeah. And it's crazy sometimes watching, high-level fights. And, sometimes I don't have, obviously, when you're at a live fight, I don't have the audio.
Right.
So it's like sometimes I'm seeing what's just a little thing that's wrong. For example, like in Diaz-McGregor 2, I remember a part where Diaz was trying to take McGregor down, but his hips were above McGregor's, who had dropped his just lower. Whereas if Diaz pops down and back up, he's got him. But, all this stuff's happening at once, and sometimes you can see it with wrestling, and it's just the difference in a little thing that sometimes the energy and the emotions of the fight, it's about, just being like, oh yeah, drop down, up, and like,
Yeah, it's very, very technique oriented, and that's like the people that have never done any kind of grappling don't understand when you're watching like someone drive in. When you see a beautiful, like, if you go back to like, who's got one of the best power doubles? Probably maybe Frankie Edgar's got one of my favorite power doubles ever. He takes a lot of motherfuckers down that are really tough to take down. But if you watch like as he enters into it, there's such a flow to it.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive, attacking, like George St. Pierre. When George is in his prime, ooh, dude, everybody's scared of that takedown, man. That power double was coming.
Yeah.
Josh Koscheck, when early on in the sport, oof. Josh Koscheck had ridiculous power in his takedowns, just ridiculous. He would just drive through you.
It's so technical. There's, that's the whole thing in wrestling is strength and quickness and all this stuff is so secondary to some dude that'll own you doing your own thing. He'll wrestle jujitsu you. He'll just let you think that you're about to do something while he's moves ahead.
I think everybody should know that Yoel Romero is a real human being, like that's possible. Like everyone should know, like when it comes to like what's important about wrestling, Yoel Romero is a real thing. Like that's what happens. This is what you have when you have like the elite wrestlers you can get in a super athlete body.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. He decides whether you're going down. If you take him down, it's luck. He might have been half-assed in the takedown defense because he knows as soon as he gets down, he'll just fucking flip you over and stand back up again. It's just not the same kind of thing. It's like he's just way more athletic than you.
Yeah.
Way stronger than you.
They need to get Nagano to work out with him.
Dude. Well, Nagano's way too heavy. Unfortunately, you're dealing with 85 versus heavyweight. But at 85...
No, I mean like train.
To train with him?
Yeah.
But still, that's a big guy to train with. He's so good, dude. Is this his highlight reel?
Yeah.
Dude, he's so good. Oof. Like, he's knocked out with stunning accuracy Luke Rockhold, Chris Weidman. Look at that. Boom, dude. Tim Kennedy. I mean, he's a fucking monster, although the Kennedy fight was marred by controversy. You can never ignore that. He did not come out for the... Oh, look at that left hand. He did not come out for the end of the round, and he was still sitting on his stool. And they had wasted all this time trying to give him more chances to recover.
You have to be afraid of any guy whose shoulders stick up like that.
Dude, he's terrifying.
It's like a king cobra. How it,
Is that it?
51.
51. Wow, Price is right.
Wow. Who is it?
Justin Ernest.
Justin Ernest, you
99.
bad motherfucker.
Wonder, it's probably some field goal kicker.
Jesus Christ. Just jacked to the tits. Doesn't want to get hit.
All I do is kick balls and press bench.
Imagine if they just made field goal kickers that were just giant Brock Lesnar style gorillas too.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Why couldn't those guys kick just as good, or if not further and faster? Kickers are always like, you're not supposed to hit them, right?
Yeah. You can't hit the kicker.
Seems
Whatever
so
you
crazy.
do.
That seems so crazy.
That's a weird job, man. You miss a kick, all those guys don't care about you. They like stab you in the back. I mean, there's no loyalty for the kicker. The rest of the other guys hold each other up. But from what I've read and understand, it's like a depressing job.
It's got to be. You're not a part of it.
Yeah.
You can't get hit. Like, that's the one thing everybody's afraid of. And you can't get hit?
And the littlest stuff throws them off too. Like in this last Super Bowl, they painted like the 25-yard line with a special Super Bowl emblem, and it messed these guys up because it's white, so they're not used to kicking off green.
Who was the first kicker? Is that the designated kicker? Has that always been the rule that you can't hit the guy who's the kicker? Or am I wrong? Do I know what I'm talking about?
It's not that you can't hit them. You can definitely hit them.
Oh.
You just can't hit them while they're kicking the ball.
Yeah, yeah.
So you can hit them after they kick the ball?
Well,
Right. While they're in the process of kicking, you can't kick their leg unless you're about to block it. If you hit the ball, you can't actually then run into them. But if you don't block the ball, then you can't touch them.
But if you're reaching for the ball, and you got to remember their legs coming forward at a crazy fast rate, if you miss the ball and you hit them, and by the way, the rule's crazy, and the same goes for the punter. Like if you hit them while their leg is basically still in the air, huge penalty.
Really?
Huge.
Yeah, this is afterwards. This guy's a punter. This is Pat McAfee. He jacked up this guy on a punt return. So like he's not afraid to go hit him. He fucked him up, but
Yeah, he's probably out for 3 years after that, the kicker.
No, is what he did illegal there?
Not at all, not at all.
No?
He's just now part of the team. He can go hit him, but usually like a quarterback, they want to try to, he's the only punter on the team, so you got to protect that guy. Otherwise you're fucked without a kicker. You got to go to somebody else.
Wow, interesting. Jim, you love the football, don't you?
Yeah, it's just a weird way. It's a high level chess thing too. There's 53 guys. You have to break it down, and then it's all strategy, and it's all pre-snap strategy because it's only 5 seconds at a time, and it's all setting this up. I'm going to trick you.
Yep.
Like it's just the guys up in the booth, old 50-year-old men that think they know a lot about football and they can't actually go do it. Sort of like an MMA, like a Duke Rufus type guy.
Very
just like call things out.
It's very strategic, very much chess, and that's why Bill Belichick and Tom Brady make it to the Super Bowl pretty much every year, which is, just like with the UFC, we've seen in so many fights, like any given Sunday almost, right? Like if you made the same match 10 times, we know it's not going to go that way every time.
Right.
But those guys have a way of figuring it out, so it's crazy
when you
to see.
think about a pro football team, like all the planning that has to be in place, all the monitoring of everybody's health, all the knowing what everyone's capable of, all the different strength and conditioning routines you must watch these guys perform, and drills you must watch these guys complete, and then you get together, all these people are trying to strategize what's the best moves, and the quarterback's got to figure some shit out and call things out in the field. It's really a fucking nutty game, man.
And they can throw money at it. They can throw money to fix any of those problems they want.
Yeah.
And when you factor in that some of the times they're doing things just to set you up completely to make you think like, oh, we saw them do that when we watched video of them play the Raiders. They did this, so this next play is going to be this, and boom, gone. Another touchdown.
Yeah, it's the thing that's just obviously the issue is what happens to the players when they get older. It's harder to watch it now, right? Doesn't seem the same.
It's not.
Doesn't seem like the same thing to me anymore. Now when a guy goes down, I'm like, oof. And that sounds fucked up coming from someone who's seen a lot of fights, but I just think it's all bad.
Yeah.
It's all bad to get hit that hard. Like, but in a fight, there's a high possibility that you could avoid getting hit that hard if you're like a Mighty Mouse, or if you're like a GSP, or you're a top of the food chain athlete, a John Jones. He's gonna get hit hard too. There's no getting around it.
Sell those tapes at like biggest hits of the NFL. Like, there used to be commercials on TV. Like, it's a little tough to watch those now.
Yeah.
Don't you think that they're getting hit harder?
Yeah.
They're getting hit harder than a UFC guy is, right?
Well, the speed is they're so fast
Yeah.
now. They're faster than they were even 5-10 years ago.
Yeah, I've seen some of those hits, and I'm trying to imagine the difference between that and like a punch or a kick, and it's multiple magnitudes of power stronger. Like the guy's getting launched through the sky with these hits. I mean,
Well,
they get launched. They lift off the ground. They go flying. These are 200-pound plus men.
I'm pretty sure football's worse because when it's helmet to helmet, I don't think there's any shin to skull kick that could even compare to that because your brain is hitting the inside of your skull if you're receiving that hit. And I don't think there's, unless another guy's wearing a helmet running at you at full speed, especially if you're running the direction that he's in.
Yeah.
Boom. I mean, that's like two cars hitting head on. If you've seen the difference between like a car accident and a head on car accident, what happens to the dummy and what happens to people, like it's night and day.
This first play here. It's the very first play of the biggest hits.
Oh.
Just fucking launches the guy.
Whoa.
Stars.
Jesus Christ.
Probably knocked out.
Yeah, I would imagine a lot of guys get knocked out. I mean, you know, they say that some concussions happen from getting hit in the chest. That we always thought about concussions, you got hit in the head, you got a concussion. I didn't know until like fairly recently. That's how stupid I am. I didn't know that you can get a concussion from getting hit to the body. Because when you get hit in the body, your brain jostles around just as much.
Oof.
It's a difference between the hemorrhaging in the brain that you often get from local trauma. That's scary shit. People fall and hit their heads. But just getting kicked to the body fucks your brain up. That's what's crazy. It's not just hitting right on the spot, which definitely does it too. But guys get their brains rattled from a kick to the body, for sure for a takedown, for sure for football.
I once had a bad one in a wrestling match in high school. I got stuck like in a bridge, and the guy had me in like a head scissors, and he snapped it back real hard, and my head hit the mat. I woke up with puke on me. I was still on my back in the middle of the mat, and I had puked, like projectile, like pop, pop, pop.
Out cold and puked.
Out cold and puked.
That's dangerous, man. You could choke on your own vomit.
That's the one time I had to go straight to a hospital. It's crazy. I was in an ambulance.
Football is probably the most impact because you're both running. So a guy's running at you full clip. That never happens in wrestling. There's never like running at you.
This is the hit that this guy, Ryan Shazier, number 50, he does a normal tackle, but he is just now getting the feeling back in his legs. This happened about 6 months ago.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Oh,
Some
my God.
really freak accident in his spine on a normal tackle, normal everyday tackle.
Shit.
Yeah. These happen, like, play like that can happen like that. On any given 5 seconds of an NFL game, a player like that can just have his life changed.
And that's another freak athlete from the Ohio State University that's been one of the top linebackers every year.
Yeah, I mean, it's super unfortunate that the body's so goddamn brittle. But it's also one of the things that makes it so fascinating. You see what these guys are capable of doing is, there's a brief window, like the Olympics, which is going on right now. This is like a brief window where someone can be good as a Michael Phelps, right? Like how many years do you have where you could just dominate swimming like that? Do you got 10? Is that real? Is that a real number? Is it 15? I mean, what is it? How long can you definitely can't keep it up forever. So like when does everything just fall apart? So when you're watching someone who can do crazy shit with their body, and then you see a tackle like that leads to a guy being paralyzed. You're like, oh man, fuck, dude, that's hard, But would you want it to change?
Football? Yeah, I think they should have big like balloon helmets on, big silly looking, super soft, bouncy helmets.
Would you want it to change?
I've been thinking about that. I think it's going to change a little bit, but I mean,
if you were the commissioner,
yeah.
If someone said, "Young Jamie, you seem to know what the fuck you're talking about. Would you please do us a favor and tell us how to run this football thing?"
Yeah, there's things I think they could do to change it. There's stronger helmets they could probably be using. I don't know if that would help them. I could probably have some more protection.
The technology is probably around the corner. It's probably like some type of weird airbag in a helmet that they're going to end up getting, or something weird. You know how?
Right, like maybe a decelerator or something like that absorbs the impact of the hit on your head, so that it doesn't snap you back. The conventional wisdom is that the helmets actually make it worse because they can hit each other much harder, whereas like they get more damage than a rugby player gets. Rugby players, because they know there's no padding, they're not doing the same kind of crazy shit.
Yeah.
It requires different techniques if you want to have a career. And I mean, in rugby's, obviously, they get down and dirty, and it's a very, very tough game, but you have to do a totally different thing when you're not padded up. It's like if you watch their scrums and you watch some of the crazy physical altercations they have, it looks more like running and wrestling. There's like a lot of wrestling involved. Whereas with football, it's just this like fucking chaos of colliding bodies and people fucking smashing into people and jumping over people. And
I just re-listened to that NPR episode about football and how it started, and that's how football used to be. It used to just be two people or two teams would line up and they just run into each other and scrum and just slowly move the ball down the field, slowly, slowly, slowly. And then eventually, as time went by, they started adding the pass and things, and now it's just the NFL is literally just pass the ball for as many touchdowns as you can get. Hopefully nobody gets hurt.
Ian Edwards was trying to turn me into a soccer fan, but it just didn't take. We tried.
Yeah.
We tried. Me and him in a bar. He's showing me like some super important game, and I'm just mocking him, and making fun of the whole thing.
I could see you being a pro wrestling fan before being a soccer fan.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
No, look, I've stated on numerous occasions I'm a huge Ric Flair fan.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that.
So if
we're getting you there, baby
look,
steps.
I love The Rock. I think The Rock is awesome.
Yeah.
I go to see all his movies. I do. I went to see Jumanji twice.
I got starstruck. I met Ric Flair at the airport after the Royal Rumble. It was so crazy. Our flight had just gotten delayed on the tarmac and then canceled. We get deboarded. Everybody else is waiting at the desk. I'm like, I'm going to go to the customer service part of this airline. I know how this crap works. There's a long line. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the customer service. And I'm walking by myself, and there he is, walking straight at me by himself. And I literally, like, as I'm getting closer, I'm like, that's not Ric Flair, that's not Ric Flair, that's not Ric Flair. And then out of my face comes, Nature Boy. And he goes, yeah, man. I'm like, hell yeah, buddy.
Do you follow him on Instagram?
I follow him on Twitter. I don't know if I do follow him on Instagram.
He's got a good Instagram. I follow him on Instagram.
He's the best, man. Just a legend.
Yeah. You know, it's like stuff like that I enjoy about pro wrestling. That's what I enjoy, the most ridiculous aspects of it.
Yeah.
Like, I was a big fan of Jimmy the Superfly Snuka back in the day because it was just so ridiculous that he would always wind up on the top rope with some guy unconscious underneath him, and he would fly through the air and land on him, and we were always pumped about it. So silly.
There's a lot of fun stuff happening there.
There he is.
Yeah. The man.
The Natch. Woo. The Natch. I used to be a fan of Bob Backlund. Do you remember Bob Backlund?
Yeah, of course.
I was like, he's a no-nonsense guy. That's a no-nonsense guy. That's how I felt about him. I felt he was like, to me, like what embodied an actual wrestler versus like the pro wrestling. And he stuck out like a sore thumb because he did like the pro wrestling thing, but not really. What he basically did is just engulf you on the ground and hit you with some ridiculous real wrestling that you're not really prepared for.
His finishing move fucking hurts. Crossface chicken wing.
See, he was just, for whatever reason, he wasn't appreciated enough.
It hurts.
He was too normal. People didn't appreciate him enough.
The figure four hurts in real life too.
The figure four leg lock?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
That's Ric Flair invented it.
Oh, I know, but I'm saying, is it a real submission?
Look, here's the only catch. It's a real submission, but the person has to basically let you put them in it.
Can I see it?
Or they have to be completely unconscious.
But Bob Backlund, I had you back, buddy, back in high school, when all the other kids were, they only liked the Superfly and then Hulk Hogan.
Here it is.
Here it is. Let me see.
See, you have to twist all the way around.
Okay, let me see this.
See, this is the part they have to be like, hey, what are you doing?
Hold on, let me see this. Drops.
Boom.
Oh, yeah, that's totally legit.
Yeah.
Yo, dude, if you can get a guy into that position, that shit will hurt.
Yep.
If you get a guy like Gordon Ryan, puts you in something like that just for fun,
yeah
he'll fuck your legs up. But go back to it again. I don't think it's a good position for a couple reasons, though. Like right there, it's good if you can get to that. if you can get to that. But I'm not sure
Here's
what's
the catch.
stopping him. I'm not sure what's stopping him from scooting his butt towards that guy's right leg.
Here's the catch.
What?
Is that if you can roll over while you're in the figure 4 leg lock, it completely reverses the polars of the
Earth
pain.
of the pain. Oh,
So
the other
now,
guy's
so
in
then
pain.
Ric Flair would be,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well, let me see it again.
And by the way, that's also true in real life. I've tested that.
Well, what I'm saying is like the position. There's a natural way to defend it that it doesn't seem like the guy's defending it. That's why.
Like
Look. Oh, he's trying to keep him from putting it in there. Oh, he stepped
6'10".
on his dick. Is he stepping on his dick?
A little bit.
That's the
Is
Undertaker.
that allowed? You're allowed to? Okay.
Oh, this is a sharp.
His legs
oh
down.
no, it is.
boom. Oh, yeah, that's a heel hook.
Yeah. That's
Okay, the
different.
guy. See, here's why this is so fucking stupid. The guy who's getting his leg cranked is actually the guy who's in the best position. He's in a heel hook position.
Yeah.
So you just grab his leg, right?
So who's supposed to be getting hurt here?
This is
guy
actually.
the guy in black.
The guy in black is no. The guy in black
is-
has the better position.
Well,
All he has to do is reach back with his right arm and hook
Time
his
out.
elbow onto the ankle. No, you time out, motherfucker.
This is not
You
a figure
can't-
4
this is-
leg lock.
This is embarrassing. That's a heel hook. He's giving him a heel hook, and the other guy's pretending he's in pain. This is crazy.
This isn't even a figure 4 leg lock. I
This
don't even know
is-
what this is. It's a modified
figure 4. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, come
so
on. Look, he's
painful.
in agony. No, he's got a fucking heel hook. Take the heel hook. It's right there. You go like this. You clamp your hands together. The match is over. I mean, it's 100% over.
In real life, yeah.
Well, what the fuck are they doing then? What are they doing? Winners or losers? Everybody gets a trophy? Is that what you're doing? You're showing a terrible position. The guy in white is in trouble. What happened? The Undertaker won?
That was a
broke
different.
out.
Did he use
broke
vid-
out.
Oh, he broke out. Yeah, but the other guy's doing it wrong for the whole fucking time. This.
There's the inverted figure 4. Here, this one maybe.
Okay, this is one.
Oh, that's
Steps
the
over. Yeah, boy, it takes a lot of work to get someone to do that.
Wow, what is that? I've never seen that one.
I'll tell you what that is. Okay.
That looks painful.
But to go back to that again, let me see that again. I think it's the same thing. Go back. This is the same thing. No. One a little bit further back. I gotta see the setup. Okay, he steps over. The other guy is basically triangling his lower leg. The guy on the bottom's in a better position. This is nonsense. The guy on the bottom fed his leg through the center, which is the worst thing he could have done right there. He had a triangle on that. He should have fed it. He should have tried to go it through the. He could have fucking swept that guy with that. Let me see it one more time. Let me
These
see it one more
aren't-
time. See, this guy's stepping over, and then this guy can just triangle that leg right there. Why is he doing that? He let him put it in the center. Even if he lets him put it in the center, he's supposed to move as soon as that guy spins, and then you're free. He should have wound up on top there.
Oh, see,
yeah.
this is a true figure 4.
This is a
John
true figure
Cena.
4.
There you
Boom,
go.
Boom, boom.
Pain.
It might hurt. Yeah, it'd probably hurt if a guy, a big gorilla like John Cena,
Yeah.
got you in that shit. But you have to be almost dead.
Yeah,
For them,
exactly.
for them to be able to do all that shit. I mean, he might be able to do it to me. Don't get me wrong.
Exactly.
But
Like
a
if
person his
anybody,
size?
for example, if anybody ever hit a figure 4 leg lock in a real fight, like that would be the most watched World Star video ever.
I wonder if it's
Figure
been done.
4, figure
See, the thing
4.
is today, well, John Cena reversed it. Oh, that's actually real. That's real as fuck. That hurts like hell. What he's doing is he's fucking that guy's knee up and he's cranking on his neck at the same time.
Yep.
He's
And
tapping.
under his nose, the
Oh, so
inside
you're
of
allowed
his
to,
wrist.
whoa, you can tap now?
Oh, you've always been able to tap. That's the whole point. That's how Ric Flair beats people. Well, he
I
didn't.
always thought that you get counted out when you pin the guy.
That's one way.
No.
That's submissions.
Is this a new thing?
Countouts.
How long have they been
There's,
tapping people?
look, there's disqualification, countouts, tap outs, and if the ref hits the mat 3 times with his hand,
How long have they been tapping out? How many years?
forever.
From the beginning?
Bob Backlund, who
Used
you
to tap
mentioned,
people out?
yeah, it's crossface
How did I
chicken
forget
wing.
this?
They have submission only matches. That goes on
Right.
for 45 minutes.
Did they have them back in the Superfly days
I
with the
think
Iron
so.
Sheik?
Oh yeah. Iron Sheik's move, camel clutch,
That's
submission.
right. He made guys tap. They
Yep.
quit.
Camel clutch hurts in real life too.
Why did I block that out of my memory?
Mandible claw is one of the best.
That's a weird thing to block out of your memory. Like,
Yeah.
why did I block out the tap outs?
Because you have not wanted to be a pro wrestling fan. You have been in denial of your love. Look at this. This is the mandible claw from Mankind.
Oh, man.
Puts a sock on his hand and then shoves
He
his
drugs you.
2 fingers
Ew.
underneath your tongue. Haha.
Oh, my
And then
God.
squeezes his thumb underneath your
What?
chin in that space and tries to connect it.
What do they call that?
The mandible claw. But at one point, it was Mr. Sacco when he was working with The Rock, and they had the
Mr.
Rocco-Sacco connection.
Shut your fucking mouth.
Yeah.
So he's got a sock puppet on, he stuffs it in your mouth, and that's how he submits you?
He keeps the sock in his underwear until it's time. And then when he gets you down, the crowd
So
goes
you got ball
crazy.
sweat?
And
He's pulling that ball
he
sweat
pulls the
sock
sock out and lifts it up, and that
Oh
crowd
my
goes
God.
insane.
That is the dumbest and most awesome thing
Yes.
I've ever heard at the same time. The dumbest and most awesome thing at the same time.
Heck yeah.
See, that kind of shit, that's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. It's ridiculous. But the thing about pro wrestling is, like, a lot of people, myself included, don't want to enjoy it. They don't want to let go for something like that.
I think you were like perhaps weeks away from becoming a pro wrestling fan.
I think you're delusional. You've always been an interesting guy, Tony, but I don't trust your judgment on many issues. This being one of them.
Oh, I think you're weeks away.
No.
You're
I
gonna
got shit
watch
to do,
Ronda.
man.
You're gonna watch Ronda's match, though. You're gonna see what happens at WrestleMania. I mean,
That
you're
sounds like a
definitely gonna watch
threat.
highlights.
Fuck is wrong with you? Fuck is wrong with you? They rebooted the Cosmos, son. I'm watching that.
Oh my God, it's so fun.
Yeah.
But pro wrestling's fun, man. I just took everybody. We went to the Royal Rumble, had a blast. Took a whole crew of LA comedians out to Philly. Saw Ronda Rousey come out. We were all very surprised. It was exciting.
Yeah, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
You guys get super excited.
Yeah, we went crazy.
That part I can't get a high. I just all the nuances to follow along. Who's mad at who?
Oh,
and-
you would love it. They
No.
keep it really easy.
No.
They give you, just like UFC, they give you a little breakdown before. They have their own Joe Rogan type who's like, doing the voiceover. Here's why this person's like this. This the technical side of things. Like they do a cool, like, a little background and explanation before so you can catch up quick. And then all of a sudden, boom, you're watching.
The only thing that seems interesting about the possibility of that is that it, to me, is